All right, I just want to make sure. Okay, now the NES. This is the Nintendo Entertainment System. This came out stateside in '85. '85.
Well, I believe it was like '84 select markets, '85.
Okay, yeah, that's right. You're right. So this was the first time you owned your own game, because everything before that was kind of from Dad, right?
Right.
Okay.
I had the it went like this for me anyway. I had the 2600. I didn't get the NES the year it came out.
Okay, I didn't either. Yeah.
I had a Master System before I had an NES.
Nice, me too.
Yeah, so I had the Master System, played that quite a bit, and my mom gave me a NES for Christmas. And it's kind of been straightforward from there.
Okay, for those who don't know, what exactly is a Master System, and certainly what are the differences? Is this the same generation?
Yeah,
or?
It's the same generation. Master System is, I believe, the Sega Mark II or Mark III in Japan.
yeah, one of the two. I don't remember.
It's 8-bit Sega system. Came with a game built in. The system itself, it was pretty much an NES without a pause button. That's all it was.
Now, in all fairness, it did. Yeah, exactly.
On the system.
The worst design ever for Sega. The pause was actually right next to the reset button, not on your controller, on the console.
In a lot of games, you had to hold the pause button.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, it was really.
It was the worst idea.
But to be fair, I mean, game systems before that didn't even have a pause button.
True. That's a good
step
point.
up.
That's a good point.
A retarded step up.
That is a good point. Yeah. Okay, so what was the first game you owned? What was the first one you were like, that?
Space Harrier.
That. Space Harrier.
Space Harrier.
That's a Master System game.
Yeah, I was crazy about Space Harrier.
Very nice.
Because, I mean, everything, if you really look at the earlier age of 8-bit, well, not 8-bit, but like Master System, Nintendo, there's a lot of better ports of arcade-looking things.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't Defender, it was things like Defender, except prettier. You know, your Spy Hunters of the world, things of that nature.
Oh, definitely.
But then I saw Space Harrier, and it was so different than anything else I'd played. Well, until I played Mario Brothers. So that's different.
Yeah, that's the beginning of a whole new era.
Yeah, but Space Harrier was very different, very fast. You died very quick, which I guess you get used to back in that time.
Yeah, that's what happened. Quarter crunchers. Now, this is a game where you kind of go into the screen, similar to your current day first-person shooters, I think.
Yeah, more or less. It's just you can see your character on the screen.
Right.
But you know,
kind of a jetpack style.
Back in the day, we didn't have 3D, but this was as close to 3D as you got. As a matter of fact, I believe the Master System. There was two versions of Space Harrier that came out. One came out with the 3D glasses, which plugged into the system itself. And those are pretty cool. I had a pair of those.
You had a pair of the 3D glasses. Wow.
That was pretty hooked up.
These are, I was gonna say, that's the stuff of legend even today.
Yeah.
You know, if you see I actually know a kid with them now, and they actually work very much like the not just like, but very similar to the Nintendo's Virtual Boy.
Yeah.
In that it has two panels that essentially reverberate, or in the case of the 3D glasses, it essentially kind of flip book style through the graphics, and so it looks as though it's coming at you.
It's like one frame inserts. I think they're both running like 60 frames.
Wow.
And actually, it's probably about 60 frames. One frame inserts on your left eye during that blank period your eye can't perceive, and then the other eye catches during the other blank period your eye can't perceive. So it seems like one solid picture all the time.
I see. It just kind of alternates.
Pretty advanced for.
That's what I've heard. I've heard as far as 3D glasses go, they're pretty much on par with stuff that was in the early 90s.
Yeah.
And they came out in like 80.
It was early 80s.
Yeah.
The Master System wasn't exactly the home of the greatest games in the world.
No.
It was Phantasy Star, which most people nowadays.
Yeah, the original.
That was Space Harrier.
Yes.
They had a much better version of Duck Hunt called Safari.
Safari Hunt.
Safari Hunt.
Safari Hunt was awesome. That was a pack-in game.
Yeah, it sure was.
That was a pack-in.
Depending, it was a second-gen pack-in game.
It was. Actually, no, that was the first gen.
Was it? Yes.
The second gen was actually, there were two. When we say gen, these are actually same generation consoles, but they came out after one another, one for a lesser price than the other. I actually have the first iteration of this. It's a very large black console with red stripes on it, and it actually has a card slot like your TurboGrafx.
The Super Card is what they called it, I believe.
Was that what it was?
Yeah, My Hero, Tennis.
Yeah,
things.
right.
I have a couple.
Transbot.
Of those. Yeah.
Right. And I really liked it, but it came built into the game. That means no cartridge whatsoever. You plug in the machine, and you get a choice of two games. Safari Hunt, which is very much like the Duck Hunt we all know and love. And
there was a couple. There was a racing game or
Hang On.
Yeah, Hang On.
It was
Hang On.
It was Hang On.
Another version came with a very Spy Hunter-esque game. I can't remember the name.
Really?
Of it, though.
Okay.
And just a standard shmup.
Okay.
Can't remember the name of that either. They were pretty forgettable.
I know, probably. Yeah. I know the second generation actually came with Alex Kidd in Miracle World.
Which
For my money, and I've had debates. I think that the original Alex Kidd game, Alex Kidd Miracle, is at least as good as Super Mario Brothers.
Everybody says it's
Really? Hey, that's fair. Yeah. All right. Fair enough.
I didn't have the Alex Kidd series. I had the Monster Boy.
Yeah.
Was it Monster Boy?
It was Monster World.
Monster World.
Monster World. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wonder Boy.
Wonder Boy.
And Monster World, which is a fantastic series, which because of the Wii actually is making a comeback.
Oh, really?
Because oddly enough, they're I don't know if you guys are keeping up with the current gen stuff, but they are releasing, believe it or not, the Wonder Boy series on all 3 coexistent platforms. So you'll find Wonder Boy 4 for the Sega Genesis.
Right.
Oh, Wonder Boy 4, of course, a different title for the TurboGrafx 16. And you'll also find it for they just released one for the Turbo Duo. Who knew? Very nice. Okay, so at this point you're deeply into video games.
Right.
You know, you start with the Sega 8-bit stuff. You move right along to the NES, which we know and love. Mario Brothers, pretty much breaking new ground. And does this, since at this point you have 2 machines from 2 different companies, did you find yourself siding with one company more than the other?
Yeah, that wouldn't come around till '89 or so.
89, okay.
After I got my NES, before this, I got a Super Nintendo. I got a TurboGrafx 16.
Wow,
And,
you were on it really early. You were a hooked up kid.
Yeah.
Dang,
we got
dude.
the TurboGrafx for free from Service Merchandise. Kids nowadays wouldn't know what the hell Service Merchandise
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. But we got.
They gave away free stuff apparently.
I was actually hoping for a Super Nintendo. Got the Master System, or not Master System, but the TurboGrafx. I was like, well, I guess I'll deal with this.
All right.
But it wasn't around the time that the Genesis Does commercial started coming out, because I always looked at Sega as a friend. I don't want to get into all that, but then that happened, and I was just like, why would they do that?
No, wait a minute. Sega as a friendly competitor.
Yeah, you know, it's like, oh, I have a Master System, have many good times with it.
Sure.
You know, it wasn't quite the NES, but no hard feelings.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, Genesis Does is...
Right, and now what he's referring to here, and I don't know, this is an old school commercial set for a lot of old school gamers. And when we say old school, it's not because we're so freaking old, it's just that we happen to be there when the latest generation kind of found its roots about 10, 15 years ago. So for us, it's our youth. And that's part of why I'm so interested in it, because this is how we grew up, you know. And
well, 10 years in the video game cycle is huge. Systems come and die in 10 years.
Yeah.
2 iterations of them.
Yeah, right. The average lifespan for a console is 5 years.
Yeah, 5, give or take.
The PS2 has kind of changed that, and the 360 I think has legs, and so does the PS3 I think.
Right.
Just because they're so advanced. But I do know what he's referring to is the old Sega slogan. Now, mind you, Sega was way behind back in the day, trying to catch up with Nintendo. Right. And so they had a commercial, a series of commercials that says, Genesis does what Nintendo don't.
Yeah.
And it was really cheesy, but when you're like 8, you know, you're like 10, you're like, aw, aw.
It's kind of like if you grew up and you saw like all these candy, pretty, like Mickey Mouse type of figures, and all of a sudden you have like, say, Bugs Bunny going pretty much like, screw you. You know?
Right.
Like, oh, that kid's cool. You know.
Right.
I want to be that cool. Mario was kind of the everyday, average, non-confrontal, you know, just non-threatening guy.
Yeah.
And Sonic comes along and goes,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I do agree. That was kind of an attitudinal shift
in
video games.